"I'm not signing anything until I see the full breakdown," he said, holding the clipboard like it was a contract negotiation. The nurse didn't argue. "There is no breakdown." He frowned. "Everything has a breakdown." She shook her head once. "Not here." He hesitated, waiting for the next step. There wasn't one. That's when the tension shifted from disagreement to disbelief. In Dublin, I watched an American man walk into a clinic like he was checking into a premium service. "Before we start, what's the total damage?" he asked with a confident smile. The receptionist replied instantly, €50. He chuckled. "No, I mean after insurance." She didn't blink. "That is the price." His smile stayed, but it stopped meaning anything. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Okay, but what about additional charges?" She shook her head. "There are none." He paused, recalculating like he'd missed a step. "So that includes everything?" She nodded. "Consultation." That word felt too small for what he expected. He stood there, waiting for the complexity to appear. It didn't. And that absence started to feel louder than any explanation. He sat down eventually, but not comfortably. More like someone agreeing to terms he didn't fully understand. "There's no follow-up bill?" he asked again. "No," she said. "We don't do that." He nodded slowly, but his eyes stayed alert. Because when the system becomes predictable, it removes something he was used to using, control through anticipation. In Vienna, I saw an American woman ask for the strongest version of a basic medication. The pharmacist looked at her calmly. "This one works." She frowned. "No, I mean the better one." The pharmacist paused. "This is correct." That wasn't enough. "Do you have a premium brand?" she asked. The pharmacist replied, "There is no premium effectiveness." That sentence didn't land well. She crossed her arms slightly. "In the US, you can choose higher quality," she said. The pharmacist nodded politely. "Here, we choose what works." The distinction didn't satisfy her. "So I don't get options," she pressed. The pharmacist answered, "You get treatment." That line ended the conversation without raising the volume, which made it feel more final than any argument could have. She paid, but slowly, like she was agreeing to something she didn't trust. "It just feels basic," she said, glancing at the box again. The pharmacist smiled faintly. "Basic is often enough." She walked away, still unsure. Because in that moment, she wasn't questioning the medicine. She was questioning a system that didn't try to impress her. In Copenhagen, I watched an American man try to tip a doctor after a consultation. He placed cash on the desk with a confident nod. "For taking extra time," he said. The doctor looked at the money, then back at him. "I did my job," she replied. He smiled. "Yeah, but you did it well." She gently pushed the money back without touching it. "We don't do that here," she said calmly. He hesitated, then tried again. "It's just appreciation." She shook her head. "Appreciation is not payment." That sentence landed differently than he expected. It didn't reject him, it rejected the idea behind the gesture. He slowly picked the money back up, like something familiar had just stopped working. He laughed lightly, trying to recover. "In America, this is normal," he said. She nodded. "In Denmark, it is not." No explanation followed. No adjustment. He put the cash away and stood up, quieter now. Because for the first time, generosity didn't increase influence. It simply had no function. This is where the pattern begins to reveal itself. It's not confusion about health care, it's confusion about control. One system invites you to navigate it, optimize it, even game it. The other removes those options entirely. And when there's nothing to adjust, nothing to negotiate, nothing to unlock, people don't feel relieved. They feel disoriented. In Berlin, I watched an American woman ask the receptionist which doctor was top-rated. The receptionist looked confused. "They are all qualified," she said. The woman shook her head. "No, like, who's the best?" The receptionist paused. "The one available." That answer didn't land. "I want the highest rated," she insisted. The receptionist blinked once. "This is not a restaurant." She pulled out her phone immediately. "I'll check reviews," she said, scrolling fast. The receptionist waited. "We don't use that system," she added calmly. The woman frowned. "So how do you know who's good?" The receptionist answered, "They are licensed." That single word replaced an entire ecosystem of rankings, comparisons, and personal preference. The woman hesitated, visibly uncomfortable. "So I just trust whoever is available?" she asked. The receptionist nodded. "Yes." That was the moment everything slowed down. Because trust wasn't optional, it was built into the system. She agreed to the appointment, but carefully, like she was stepping into something without the usual safety filters she relied on. In Paris, I watched an American man stare at his bill after a minor procedure. "This has to be missing something," he said, tapping the paper. "It says €40. The clerk nodded. "Yes." He leaned closer. "Where are the other charges?" She replied calmly, "There are none." That answer didn't relax him, it made the situation feel incomplete. He pointed at the receipt again. "What about facility fees, supplies, doctor time?" She interrupted gently. "It is included." He laughed, but it sounded strained. "That's not how billing works." She responded without emotion. "It is here." That line ended the conversation faster than any argument could. Because there was no system behind it to challenge. He pulled out his phone, searching for proof. "In the US, this would be thousands," he said. She nodded. "Yes." He paused. "So why isn't it?" She looked at him directly. "Because we decided it shouldn't be." That answer removed everything he expected, no hidden structure, no breakdown, no logic to reverse engineer. Just a decision already made. In Helsinki, inside a quiet clinic, I watched an American man answer a phone call at what he thought was a respectful volume. Not loud, just audible. A nurse approached him within seconds. "Please step outside," she said calmly. He smiled. "I'm being quiet." She nodded. Not quiet enough. That correction didn't escalate. It simply replaced his definition with theirs. He covered the phone slightly. "I'll be done in a second," he said. She didn't move. "Now," she replied. That single word carried no emotion, but it ended the discussion completely. He hesitated, then stepped outside. When he returned, the room was silent again, like nothing had happened. Because here, behavior isn't debated, it's adjusted instantly. This is the shift most people don't expect. The system doesn't argue with you, it just continues without you. No escalation. No back and forth. Just quiet enforcement. And that feels different from authority. It feels impersonal. Because when rules apply the same way every time, they stop feeling like decisions, and start feeling like reality you can't negotiate with. In Barcelona, I watched an American woman explain her symptoms like a full narrative. "It started last week, then got better, then worse again." The doctor raised a hand gently. "Where does it hurt?" She paused. "Well, there's context." He nodded. "Point." That moment shortened everything. She pointed, slightly embarrassed, like detail had just lost its importance. She tried again. "But there's a backstory," she added. He smiled briefly. "We will add it later." That reordering felt unnatural to her. She was building a story. He was extracting information. "So you don't need the full explanation?" she asked. He replied, "I need what matters." That distinction filtered her entire approach into something much smaller. The consultation ended faster than she expected. "That's it?" she asked. He nodded. "That is enough." She left looking unsure not about the diagnosis, but about the process. Because when communication becomes efficient, it can feel incomplete. Not because something is missing, but because nothing unnecessary survived. In Stockholm, I watched an American man ask if he could upgrade his medication. The pharmacist blinked once. "Upgrade?" He nodded. "Yeah, like a better version." She paused. "This one works." He smiled. "Right, but what's the premium option?" She shook her head slightly. "There is no premium recovery." That sentence landed harder than he expected. He laughed, assuming something got lost in translation. "No, I mean if I pay more, I get better results." She responded calmly. "Paying more does not change the outcome." He stared at her, trying to find the missing layer. "So there's no incentive?" She said, "The incentive is getting better." That answer removed the entire structure he was expecting. In Rome, I watched an American woman ask when her prescription would be sent to the pharmacy. The doctor handed her a paper. "You take this." She froze. "A paper prescription?" He nodded. "Yes." She looked genuinely uncomfortable. "Isn't that unsafe?" He shook his head. "It works." That answer didn't reassure her, it made the system feel outdated in her mind. She examined the paper like it might be missing something. "In the US, everything is electronic," she said. He nodded. "Here, paper is sufficient." She frowned. "What if it gets lost?" He replied, "I print another." That simplicity didn't solve her concern, it made it worse. Because redundancy replaced security, and she wasn't used to that trade-off. At the pharmacy, the prescription was filled instantly. She stood there, confused. "That's it?" she asked. The pharmacist nodded. "Yes." No scanning. No verification codes. Just a stamp and a signature. She paid and left slowly, still processing. Because the system worked, but it didn't look like something that should work. In Oslo, I watched an American man ask the doctor if his insurance would approve the treatment. The doctor paused. "I already approved it," he said. The man shook his head. "No, I mean my insurance." The doctor looked at him calmly. "I decide what you need." That sentence shifted the entire dynamic in a way he didn't expect. He leaned forward. "But what if they deny it?" The doctor replied, "They are not involved." That answer didn't reassure him, it removed the system he trusted to validate decisions. "So no one double-checks?" he asked. The doctor said, "I am the check." That level of authority felt unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable, because it eliminated the second layer he relied on. By now, the pattern is complete. It's not about cheaper care or faster service. It's about removing friction entirely. No approvals. No upgrades. No hidden structures to navigate. And when friction disappears, so does the feeling of control. Because control, in complex systems, comes from managing obstacles. Without obstacles, there's nothing to manage, only outcomes to accept. In Amsterdam, I watched an American man ask for an itemized receipt after buying medication. The pharmacist handed him a simple slip. He frowned. "Where are the codes?" She replied, "What codes?" He pointed at the paper. "Insurance codes, billing breakdown." She shook her head. "This is the receipt." That simplicity didn't clarify anything, it created doubt. He stared at it longer than necessary. "This looks fake," he said quietly. She raised an eyebrow. "Why?" He hesitated. "Because it's too simple." She nodded once. "It is simple." That answer didn't help. Because in that moment, simplicity didn't feel efficient, it felt incomplete. Like something important had been removed, even though nothing was actually missing. That's the real clash. Not America versus Europe, but expectation versus reality. When people are trained to navigate complexity, simplicity feels like a trap. When they expect to optimize, fairness feels like limitation. And when the system doesn't respond to confidence, confidence starts to collapse. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just quietly, when it realizes the system was never listening in the first place.